All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute webinar. My name is Dan Schmidt. I'm a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host today. I'm joined today with Mike Stratton, aka Magic Mike, another systems engineer here. And in today's webinar, we're going to be covering a topic that is a continuation of last week's webinar on CCX agent-based reporting. This week, we'll be covering a popular feature for those users that have CCX. It's the fully customizable CCX CSQ-based reporting. So just to recap our agenda for today, we're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do, and how by using CSQ historical reports, your organization will gain visibility into your contact center. We'll jump into a live demo by Mike and guide you through creating and running CCX CSQ-based reports. We'll then pause for some Q&A and get some of your questions answered during the demo. If you may have any questions, please make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of the WebEx screen. After Q&A, we'll reward one lucky winner a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you've won. So a quick overview of Variphy. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. We provide industry-leading CDR reports and call analytics, customizable dashboards and widgets, UCCX reporting, remote phone control, change management, DN and DID management. But in today's webinar, we're going to be covering UCCX CSQ-based historical reports. If you have any other questions on any of the other features, we could certainly take those offline and get those answered for you. Before we do get started today, we want to announce that Variphy now offers a new service that provides a managed consulting service to our customers. Variphy's SE team will be engaged on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting services, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides a dedicated Variphy SE to do the heavy lifting of day-to-day report creation and generation. For more information, please contact us and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about our new service offering. So enough with the slide deck. Let's jump over to the live demo and hand it off to Mike. Mike?
Thanks, Dan. Let me go ahead and share my request. Give me control and
There you go, Mike.
There we go. Thank you. Let me share my screen. And WebEx says I'm not sharing my screen. All right. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us today. I'll be demonstrating a few CCX CSQ-based reports. These reports can be used alongside our agent reports and our CCX agent, or I'm sorry, our CCX widgets. I'll start things off by going over the reporting options, and then I'll dive into some reports. When creating a CSQ report from the contact center reporting menu, click or hover over the Create Agent Report link, and then click on Create CSQ Report. In the Add Report menu, you'll see you'll be presented with the basic menu, the basics menu. This is for general formatting. You can configure the report name, the description. Down below, you can create or select the date formats, and then below that is where you pick the queues you wish to report on. For the demonstration today, I'll be looking at these 3 queues. So we'll go ahead and get them added to this first report. Below basics is the data grouping. This is what you can kind of think of as like the summary section. We can do, under data grouping, you'll see a lot of different grouping options. There's, I believe, over 100 different options available. For any new user, anyone who hasn't been here a lot, I definitely suggest using the filter. It makes things a lot easier. For example, if you're looking for a count but you don't know where it's at, typing in the word count will take your list from like 100 different options down to about 15 or 16. So from there, you can select different counts for this report. I like total count, handled count, and abandoned count. I think that's a good place to start off with. But we also offer other counts such as aborted or for DQ'd for different call scenarios. And like if a call is sent to like an overflow queue, we can report on that as far as handled by another CSQ count. And then if a call, like for example, goes the caller waits for like 5 minutes and then is scripted off to like voicemail, you'll see that call show up under the handled by script account. And then besides those different counts, we also report on, or we can identify calls that either met or missed the service level count. This is the service level count that's configured within the contact center. Besides count, we can also report on time. You'll see all these different time values. We can report on time, or we can group time on like by average, by total, by max. And then furthermore, we can group it on different types of time, such as connect time, hold time, queue time, ring time, talk time, and work time, and also identify each call scenario, whether the call was abandoned, handled, or whether it met the service level, missed the service level. And then we can also just count or report on total times for the different scenarios. Then when configuring the data grouping, you can sort by any of the options available over here and select their the sort direction. Then down below data grouping, you've got call details. The call details, when enabled, you'll see 3 different major sections or groups of call detail options. The contact call details are related to the call itself. This is where you'll get like caller ID, how long, when the call started, when the call disconnected, how long the call was connected for. You'll also see the custom variables here. And down below, you'll see the agent connection details. This section relates to the agent who answered the call. So you can get the agent name. You can identify when the call was connected to the agent. You can also identify the wrap-up code or the wrap-up data, and also identify the hold time, ring time, talk, or work times. The third section is the contact queue details. These values are related to the queue the call came from. So you can include the queue name, the service level, whether or not the call met the service level, and other information such as the queue disposition and how long the call was queued for. So we'll go ahead and get a quick report built. I'll turn off the call details for now and just kind of start with call grouping. We'll keep these 3 here, and I'm going to also add the service time. So I want to see how many calls met and missed my service level for each queue. And then next to that, I want to see the handled average talk time and the handled max talk time. So I want to see on average how long the agents are spending with each caller. And I also want to see what's the highest call in the reports. And then also I want to see the average queue time. So I can identify on average how long people are waiting before I'm speaking with an agent. And then I also want to see the max queue time. Everything else is good. Go ahead, I'm going to give it a name. Some report, save it, and we'll run it. So here, we'll pick our search time window we'll do the current month. We'll deliver it as PDF and download it. There we go. Okay. So this report is a good baseline, and it answers kind of a few questions. We can see that the phone room queue handles a lot more call volume than the car's queue. The average and max talk time here are about the average talk time, the average and max talk time between the between the 2 queues is far greater for the car's queue. The phone room on average spends about 49 seconds per call, whereas the car's queue spends over 8.5 minutes per call. And even though the talk times are different, the queue times are about the same, and they both come in on average under 20 seconds. But the max queue time for the car's queue, someone was willing to wait, almost 30 minutes to speak with an agent. So this report, it's a good baseline. When you're building like your first report, you're getting the basic counts, you're seeing some averages and some talk times. But this also kind of leads to the next question, which is can we get maybe like a better idea on the abandoned call metrics? So we can see the numbers, but what about like the percents? So we'll go ahead. So we can take this report and we'll make a copy of it, and then we'll go ahead and modify it to look more into the abandoned calls. So under data grouping, we'll get rid of these, and we'll look for the abandoned percent, and we'll look for the the abandoned average queue time. So this will give us a little more idea as to what percent of the calls that are coming into the queue are abandoned, and overall, how long is someone waiting before abandoning the call. Save that, and then run the new reports. Same time frame, current month. The report. All the numbers here are the same, but now we're showing the user that this this value of 428 is about 10, almost roughly around 10%. So this queue is abandoning, or the callers are abandoning calls at about like 10 out of every 100 calls, or 10% of the calls. The cars queue is a little bit is about the same, but their abandon rate is at 11.4%. So the first question we usually get is how many calls are we receiving, and then we answered that with the first report. This report answers kind of the second question as to how many are abandoned. Third, once we start diving into the abandoned calls, we want to see the detail. So we can build a new report. We'll create it from scratch. We'll call this one the abandoned detail reports. We'll pick the same 3 queues. We'll skip the data grouping and jump right into the call details. So we'll turn that on. Now, the call detail section will give us a call by call breakdown for all 3 queues. So we want to start off with just some basic information. We want to see when the call started. So we'll do contact, start, date, time. Contact is when the call first started from the point of view of the contact center. The connection start time and date is when the call was connected to the agent. And then we want to see the caller ID. So we'll select originator DN. Definitely want to see the queue name. We want to know how long, because these calls are all abandoned, so we want to see how long they waited in the queue for. And we also want to see where the call came from, and that is going to be one of our custom variables. So we do report on custom variables for the customers that use these variables within their contact center. They're very important. We can report on them in the call details, and we can also filter the call. We can filter the data grouping and the call details by the individual values within the custom variables. So we'll go ahead, stick in custom variable 4. And I want to see the contact disposition here. So this report as is, we're going to group it by start date and time. So this report as is will give us all the call data, but we only want to see the abandoned calls. So we'll go up here, click on the create call detail search set, give it a name. And from the list, we want to select the disposition to identify the abandoned calls. So we'll start with contact disposition. We'll add criteria, and we'll select abandoned. So now if we ran the report as is, this will only return the call records where the contact disposition is abandoned. If we wanted to see everything but the abandoned calls, we can either come in here and select everything else but abandoned, or just click on is to go is not. Okay, so for this list, I think this is pretty good start as far as the abandoned calls. We'll go ahead and save this. And we'll go ahead and run it. Search time, we'll do previous day. So we'll scroll the abandoned calls for the previous day, run it. Okay, actually. Remember where my abandoned calls go. Hang on 1 second. I think I saved it. Let me create the report one more time. Oh, you know what? I did save it. Just didn't save it with the search results. On the report. All right, we'll get the report. There's my report. We'll go ahead and run it. And take a look at the results. Okay, here is my abandoned call details. So for yesterday, There are 40 abandoned calls. We have the contact start and date time. This is when the call was began. We have got the caller ID, the queue name, queue time, and then we show the custom variable. This identifies, in this instance, this identifies where the call came from, and then we also over here have the contact disposition, which just for just to verify the data, these should all be abandoned. So here's the abandoned calls for yesterday. And then for a real world example for this report, we do have some customers that take this report and they will run it hourly for the previous hour. And then when this report is delivered to their agents, they'll go ahead and call those numbers back. But on top of that, they'll also filter their data and look for abandoned calls where the caller waited in the queue for like about 30 seconds or more. So we can go ahead and show you how to build that report. You just take the same reports and come in here and under the search criteria, look for queue time. So we'll add a second search criteria to the report, make sure we want to match all criteria, and then we want to change the operator from equals to greater than or equal to 30 seconds. Now, in the example that a lot of our customers use, they have a lot of call volume every hour. I think in this lab environment, we're not going to have a call in the previous hour, so I'll go ahead and keep the search time for the previous day. So it's the same report as before, but we just filtered. And now we just have these two calls. So in the example, the agent would call back each of these numbers to make sure that the caller is either help, that or a ticket's been opened, or that whatever issue that they're calling in for, just to help make sure that that's resolved. One thing also I want to point out about the detailed data, if you're familiar with CUIC, you may or may not know that that it has a data limit of 8,000 rows, which means if you're running like a detailed report, it will only return the first 8,000 records. In our system, in our software, we will not, we do not have a data limit. So if there's more than 8,000 records, 9,000, 10,000, they will all be included within the detailed report. Okay, so one more use case or one more example. We can build a report that actually, instead of just separating the detail and the summary, we can put them in the same reports. So we'll go ahead and take this report that the first report that I built with the data grouping, and we can take this and then also show some of the call detail for those queues. So we'll go in, kind of build the same reports. We'll do contact start and start dates. Definitely, as always, CSQ name. CSQ levels good too. And from there, we can even include the connected agent name, so we can see where the calls are going to. And then, if you want to see the details on the call, we can add queue time, talk time, ring time, work time. And if possible, if available, we can always include the call wrap up data. Sort by CSQ name. We'll save that. So we'll go ahead and run the report again. And this report will also be for the previous day. So what you see here is the same data grouping from the first time that the report was ran. You can see the counts for different counts, whether it's totaled, handled, or abandoned for the different queues, and some of the talk times and queue times over here. Then down below, we have a breakdown with all the call details. It is, we're showing contact, the start time, end time, and I have it sorted by the queue. We have the queue level or the service level as it's configured within the contact center. We have the agent name, so we can see who the call was delivered to. We can show how long this caller was in the queue for, how long the agent talked with them, and we can also see the overall ring time, hold time if they put them on hold, and work time. I don't think this lab is using call wrap-up data. And then this call here is missing the agent name, it's missing the talk time, ring time, hold time, and work time. So this tells me that this call was abandoned in queue, as was this call here. And there might be a couple more through the day. So, all right. That is it. That's all I have for today. As far as these real world examples, thank you everyone for spending some time with me and with us. I'm going to pass things back to Dan for some Q&A.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for showing us some really great examples and real life scenarios of how using our CSQ-based reports helps in the contact center. So next, let's answer some questions that have came in. So we got the first question is from Beth. Beth asks, does Variphy offer any levels of security for contact center supervisors? So, Mike, can you, if you're still displaying your screen, Mike, can you show us real quick how we can set it up specifically for CCX supervisors and restricting the data they could see to their teams?
Yeah, there's a couple ways we can do it. We can configure it. You can either configure a public search set, like under the CCX settings, and then apply it to a user group, or you can just apply it straight to the user groups. We can go in here, or user groups. So if we're creating a new user, either give it an assigned user group, or down below, you add the cluster. If you're looking for like the restricted data visibility, if you're looking for like the view as team supervisor, you can set it here, or set restrictions to specific source sets here.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Second question that we have is from Frank. Frank is wondering about the custom variables that you mentioned, Mike. So basically, custom variables he actually asks, what are custom variables and how are those defined? So Frank, custom variables are 100% dependent on your CCX script. So whatever script is tied to your application, within that script, you're basically intaking or requesting information from the caller. This could be automatic, so you could have a prompt that asks for an account number or an address. You can basically map specific pieces of information to get saved within the CCX database. So it's the CCX script that's saving those custom variables. We're just going out and querying for those custom variables. So excellent question, Frank. That is all the questions in the Q&A panel now. Are there any other questions from any of the other attendees? All right. Mike, if you could pass me the ball here next, we'll move forward and we'll announce our winner. All right. Thank you. All right, so for the moment we've all been waiting for, thank you to Wendy Edwards. Thanks for joining today. We'll be in contact with you shortly after this webinar to get in touch to see how we could get you your $50 Amazon gift card. So thank you to all attendees for joining today. It was a quicker webinar, but yet nonetheless very important information. And just as a general reminder here, if you haven't got a notification just yet, we are hosting our inaugural 2020 block party. So 2-day event, a couple hours each day, where we here at Variphy will get pretty technical and provide some deep dive technical sessions and have some other fun things planned for everyone joining. We have over $10,000 worth in prizes that we'll be giving out. So please, if you haven't registered just yet, please do so at our webpage. You'll see a header just at the top of our page there. So variphy.com/party. We look forward to having everyone on that. And again, thank you everyone for joining. Go out, be safe, and please be nice to one another. Thanks, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.